Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Shinigami, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Two figures stared across the darkness at each other, one standing, the other sitting atop a stone. The one perched on the stone looked up with one visible red eye, its voice intoning that of a male. You will go and intercept Uzumaki. The Oto ninja that you placed that genjutsu on were worthless pawns, hardly able to ascertain his true power. I want an honest assessment. The figure before him kept its eyes closed, and its voice was soft and even. You want me to intercept him? This is a foolish endeavor. He has grown very powerful in recent times. The red-eyed figure narrowed his eyes to SS and stood. You will do as you are told. I want an accurate assessment of his skills, to know if he is as powerful as he is made out to be. K his woman, threatened to K her. I want him angered. I want him lost in misery. I want to know if he is the one who can challenge me. The figure opened its eyes to reveal the swirling tomo of the Sharingan and narrowed its own gaze, its voice carrying a small hint of anger. This is still foolish and unneeded. There are better ways of ascertaining his skill and power. And all of them take too long. I grow bored as the years march on. Now do as you are told and take Kisame with you. Do not fail me, Itachi. X. Itachi frowned as he left Kisame outside Konoha's walls. This reeked of failure. This new Naruto was not one to be trifled with anymore. X. Naruto awoke to a pressure on his chest and cracked an eye to find Tenten still dozing on top of him. He rolled his N and tried to find a way to pry her off him without waking her. Don. Move. M. Comfortable. Well, there went that idea. Naruto sighed and lay back again. He was starting to cramp up though and needed to move. Wrapping his arms around Tenten's back, he formed his familiar seal and a cage bunch and popped into existence. The clone looked down at his predicament and grinned. What's the matter? Not comfy. Naruto glared at his doppelganger and pointed to the girl on top of him. Just switch with me so I can shower. Smartass. The clone made the hand seal for Kawarimi and Naruto now stood beside the couch, cracking his back. The clone grunted and tried to shift her weight, resulting in a snorting Tenten snuggling further into its chest. What the hell have you been feeding this chick? She weighs a freaking ton. Really? I never noticed. Anyway, have fun and if she wakes up, stall her. The clone nodded and put its hands behind its head. Might as well enjoy the downtime. The only time clones were ever called was for battle most of the time, but Naruto made it a point to use them for frivolous things. Part of his charm, one would suppose. X. Tenten rose from her slumber and made into the chest of her boyfriend. She hadn't slept that well in quite a while and had thoroughly enjoyed herself the night before. A good tussle was just what she and Naruto needed to relieve the stress and tension. Too bad that their opponents had been such wusses, barely worth the struggle. The clone beneath her began to writhe and giggle when she tried to burrow her nose further into its shirt and Tenten growled at the unwanted noise and movement. Quit it. I'm trying to sleep. Then stop tickling me toots. Toots. She looked up with bleary eyes at the clone and blinked slowly. Naruto, did you just call me toots? Sure did, babe. Tenten looked at him incredulously and frowned before bopping him on the head, dispelling the clone. She flopped onto the couch unceremoniously and leapt to her feet immediately. She had a boyfriend to K, leave her alone with a clone would he? Naruto grimaced when he felt the memories of his clone enter his mind. If there was one thing Tenten absolutely hated for Naruto to do, it was demean her with cis names. If he could just isolate the part of his mind that made his clones rebel with attitude. His thoughts were broken when he heard the telltale stomps of her coming through the bedroom and the sound of the bathroom door flinging open against the wall. She wouldn't. His eyes bugged as the shower curtain was flung back and Tenten's angry face came into view. Naruto, what the hell is the idea? Leaving me with a clone and not telling me. Her voice trailed off and her anger vanished as her mind finally caught up to the sight in front of her. Her eyes traveled from Naruto's head, where his hands were frozen washing his hair, down to his chest, where she'd spent a happy night, to his perfect abs, that she loved to rub against, down to his. Tenten's mind nearly shut down when her gaze traveled further south to the one part of his body she hadn't dared to touch yet. She hadn't even seen it in all the months they had been together, though she really wanted to, and now, here it stood at full attention before her. Naruto was mortified that, despite the embarrassing situation he was in, his S simply couldn't get with the rest of his body. He only hoped he'd be able to salvage his dignity afterwards. Tenten couldn't stop staring at her boyfriend's overly large thing. She'd been around at enough slumber parties between the girls her age and hung out enough with the older kunoikas enough to have a great appreciation for the male anatomy. Anko was vivid enough in her descriptions of it that Tenten was sure that when she finally was ready to have S, she wouldn't be surprised. Naruto blew the damn theory out of the water. The thing between his legs would absolutely, positively never fit between her legs, not that she wasn't still going to try. She was broken from her piercing gaze by the curtain swishing shut and a baffled voice yelling at her. Ten. What the hell? She noticed that the face poking out from behind the curtain was redder than what was the norm and he looked both angry and confused. Why the hell did you kick the door in? Tenten seed her head and pointed toward the curtain, about sea level. I've got a better question. How the hell have you been hiding that all this time? I don't know what you're talking about. Yes you do. That freaking log in your pants. Did you use kawarimi with your S? Naruto turned even redder if possible and it looked like his brain was frying from the heat coming from his head. Get the hell out of here. Tenten beat a hasty retreat, the memory of her man's huge dong still fresh in her mind. She never felt the presence behind her, but she did feel the chop to the X. Naruto emerged from the shower still slightly miffed, but calmer than he had been. He rationalized that she had merely been angry with his clone and hadn't been thinking, but that didn't excuse rudeness, even if it was her right to see him like that by proxy. As he toweled off his hair, he called out for her. Tenten. I'm sorry I snapped at you. Silence was his answer. Naruto slipped his pants on and stepped out of the room. Tenten. He shrugged, thinking she must have left, until he walked into the living room and saw it in complete disarray. The couch was overturned, the walls broken, her things strewn everywhere. He thought to himself that it wasn't possible, that he couldn't have possibly not heard this. He rummaged through the wreckage until he finally paid attention to the wall. Written in what he hoped was red marker was a message from a man he had hoped to never hear from again. Naruto-kun. I had wanted our meeting to be more amicable, but necessity dictates that we must meet, once again, on unfriendly terms. I have taken the girl you have taken an interest in as insurance that you will meet with me. Don't worry, as long as you come, she won't be harmed. I'm not interested in her. Kisum, on the other hand, thinks her F would grate most pleasantly against Samehada, so to hurry. Meet me in Rice Country at the abandoned temple. You know which one. Itachi. Naruto blew the wall apart with a single punch, tears streaming down his face. He'd known that getting involved with him was a mistake and now, Tenten may pay the price. His chain sent its way around his arms and he leapt out of the hole he had created, his eyes promising blood. He had a weasel to K.X. Tsunade had felt the rise in power when Naruto punched through the wall and was about to check it out herself, when he appeared at her window, tears streaming down his face. He slammed the glass back and stepped just inside her office. They took her. Tsunade tried to calm him but it wasn't working. Naruto, calm down. Who took who? Itachi and Kisum. They took Tenten. Why? Naruto growled in frustration. To get to me. Why else? Naruto, think clearly. This could be a trap. There's no time. They have Tenten and Kisum will K her if I don't come. I'm going now. Wait. At least take back up. Naruto turned to face her slightly as he jumped onto the railing. Send whoever you can and tell them to come as fast as they can. I've been told to meet them in Rice Country at the abandoned temple. Naruto, wait. It was too late and he leapt off and ran over the rooftops. Tsunade growled in frustration and called her secretary. Get me Sakura and Kakashi. Tell him if he's 1 second late, I'll K him. X. Naruto was furious and as he ran, anything in his way was totally obliterated. He swung his hammer to rid his pathway of trees and boulders. The ninja following him wouldn't have a hard time telling where he was going. As he ran, his thoughts went back to his relationship with Tenten. He remembered when they'd first hooked up, their first kiss, their first hug. He remembered the first time she'd said she loved him. The more he thought about her, the angrier he got, and the more chakra he pushed into his eyes. If someone had been walking through that forest, they would have thought a silver-eyed devil or angel had emerged from the darkness. His eyes now shone brightly and his teeth were bared, the fangs now so long they reached over his bottom lip. The seal on his stomach was now very visible due to his shirtless state and his hands had turned into claws. But the malevolent red chakra of the Kyuubi was not present. Naruto flew past the boneyard of Kimimaro and flew over the valley of the end. Usually, he would have taken the moment to be reverent, but Tenten's life was more important. He had made it to the temple in a little less than an hour, quite a feat considering the distance. He stopped just outside the temple steps, his bare feet scuffling the grass. Itachi. X. Tsunade was standing while she gave the mission parameters, and this made Sakura and Kakashi very nervous. The Hokage never stood while she gave missions. They assumed this was very important. Tsunade took a deep breath and gave them both a stern stare. Tenten has been captured by the Akatsuki. Naruto has pursued them. He left nearly 10 minutes ago for the abandoned temple in Rice Country. I want you two to follow him and help him. He was very distraught when he came here to tell me. Kakashi kept his impassive gaze. Tenten is a fellow leaf ninja. We won't abandon her. Yes, Tsunade Shushu, we'll save her. Fine, but before you go, there is one more provision. I'm going with you and we'll be traveling very quickly. I sent a messenger slug to Guy and he'll round up Neji and Lee to assist if possible. Now let's go. The three disappeared in a blur. X. We're right here, Naruto-kun. There is no reason to shout. Naruto turned a hate-filled gaze to the ever-stoic Itachi and the madly grinning Kisame. Kisame's smile disappeared to be replaced with a grimace when he saw the look in Naruto's eyes and the glowing silver that overshadowed the blue. Itachi merely raised an eyebrow, the only hint that he was surprised. What has happened to your eyes, Naruto-kun? Why do they glow in such a manner? Naruto snarled and held his hammer behind him, ready to leap at a moment's notice. They are none of your concern. Where is Tenten? The bun-haired girl. She is currently resting within the temple. She is not your concern at the moment. Let me see that she is all right. Kisame laughed and stepped forward. Not a chance, brat. I'd rather see you sweat it out. Itachi, not wanting the situation to escalate, held his hand out to Kisame. Stay out of this. You are merely here to observe. Kisame grit his teeth and glared at Itachi. What about our mission to capture the brat? That is not important right now. Itachi began to stride forward and down the steps with ultimate care, each step measured, his eyes never leaving Naruto's. He reached the bottom step and allowed his Sharingan to blaze. Let us begin, Naruto-kun. I would like to see exactly how far you've come. Naruto roared and leapt forward, every fiber of his being calling for the death of his enemies. X. Tsunade, Kakashi, and Sakura were minutes from the temple and Tsunade was as tense as she could get. As they followed behind Kakashi's loyal pug, her prayers went out to her fellow blonde. Be safe, Naruto. Don't do anything stupid. X. Itachi was not impressed as he watched Naruto charge and easily leapt aside. His eyes widened just a fraction of an inch when Naruto decimated the steps of the temple into a mere pile of rubble. The Uchiha landed several feet away and Naruto pulled his hammer from the remains of the marble. Hold still, Itachi, and I'll show you the true meaning of power. Intrigued, Itachi seed his head to the side. And what might that meaning be, Naruto-kun? To protect those you love, that is the meaning of power. Without a purpose, power is meaningless. Your quest for power has been meaningless. Itachi shook his head, as if he was scolding a small child. No, Naruto-kun, my quest has not been meaningless. My quest has never been for power. My quest has been to find someone able to push me beyond my limits, to find someone who can K me. And I have, as of yet, to find that man. You, however, have potential. Now show me. Itachi leapt forward and SD at Naruto with a kunai, only to be blocked by the hammer and forced to retreat. Why do you still hold back, Naruto-kun? Why do you suppress your power? Shut up. I'm not suppressing anything. If you even touch one hair on her head, I'll K you. Naruto sealed his hammer away and grabbed the ends of the chain in his fists, forming a makeshift pair of brass knuckles. He rushed in toward Itachi, but the Sharingan predicted his movements and the Uchiha simply glided out of the way. Itachi leapt back, shaking his head and sighing. Such a waste of potential. I've heard of your fight with my foolish brother at the Valley of the End. I've heard from Zetsu of how you were able to move with speeds beyond the Sharingan. Where is that power? Naruto threw a kick at his head and tried to follow up by lashing at him with the chain, but Itachi always dodged, never once retaliating. It was like when they'd rescued Gaara all over again. The man was still untouchable. I'll never use that bastard's power ever again. Now give Tenten back to me. Itachi's eyes narrowed dangerously and his voice came out in a harsh whisper. Is that what it's going to take for your power to come forth? Your true power? Am I going to have to harm the girl Naruto-kun? Naruto froze in fear and immediately attacked Itachi with more fervor. No. You leave her alone. She has nothing to do with this. Leave her alone, Itachi. Naruto bolted straight for the Uchiha, swinging wildly, trying desperately to draw his attention back to him. Itachi grabbed Naruto's arm and threw him against a tree, but the boy flipped and caught himself, launching back towards the older man. Itachi backhanded Naruto and sent him flying before running into the temple and reappearing with a trembling Tenten by his side, bound at the ankles and wrists. Though her eyes were filled with tears, she made no sound. Her eyes bulged when he put a kunai to her tea and she threw Naruto a pleading look. Release your power now, Naruto-kun, or the girl SS. I'm through playing games. I want to see the true power of what your love can do. Naruto stood helpless. He didn't know how to release his power. It always just happened by itself. Itachi took his hesitance as a no, and raised the kunai high into the air. He saw the other three arrive at the clearing's edge out of the corner of his eye and congratulated them on the good timing. It would only make Naruto suffer more. If you won't do it voluntarily, then we'll do this by force. Enjoy as her blood sprays across the ground. Naruto watched in horror as the blade began to descend right for Tenten's creamy tea and his mind kicked into overdrive. His body moved forward as if on autopilot and everything slowed down to a crawl. Tenten watched as he got closer and closer and closed her eyes, awaiting the death stroke. She regretted never spending more time with him. She never got her kiss earlier that morning. They'd fought before she got captured and she never said she was sorry. She'd never get to spend forever with him. Naruto's only thoughts were centered on that blade and Tenten's tea. I have to go faster, I have to move, I have to save her, I have to fly, I have to fly. I have to fly. Sakura screamed as the blade began to descend and Naruto took off like a bat out of hell. She knew he'd never make it and yet, she held out hope that he would. Tenten didn't deserve to S like this, she deserved better. She deserved Naruto. Kakashi watched in utter horror as he witnessed another comrade being slain before their time. If only he'd been faster, if only he'd been better as a ninja, as a teacher, and as a friend, but life is full of ifs and it was a certainty. Tenten was about to be ked. Tsunade looked on as Naruto ran toward his girlfriend in a last-ditch effort to save her. She observed the blade coming down and turned away so that she wouldn't have to see another young ninja meet an untimely end. The turning of her head made her focus on Naruto for a fraction of a second and her jaw dropped when she saw the most amazing thing happen. The world seemed to slow down for a moment and she saw that Naruto was changing slightly. His eyes were glowing more and white seemed to be pouring forth from his back. And suddenly, he disappeared. To Naruto, the world became a blur and he didn't know what was going on. Everything became clearer and even though he knew he was moving at extreme speeds and the ground swept beneath him, he felt as if he was standing still. The knife seemed to be crawling through the air toward Tenten and he knew now that he could make it. He had to make it. He would make it. Tenten was in a warm, familiar embrace, one she'd come to recognize as the embrace of the man she loved and wanted to spend the rest of her life with. But she was her TS by Itachi and now she'd have to wait for Naruto in the afterlife. She didn't want to open her eyes though, because it would mean that Naruto was no longer there. Bar dumb. Tenten slowed her breathing down slightly and tried to be rational. If she was truly then the body holding her shouldn't have a heartbeat. The didn't need heartbeats. Dumb. Deciding to take the plunge and get it over with, she cracked her eyes open and was met with a spectacular sight. She was indeed in the arms of someone and even though she was still bound she felt safe. Itachi stood across the clearing now, his kunai still in his hand, now held limply at his side. If the girl was correct, the man seemed uncertain as to what had transpired. So was Tenten. The last thing she remembered was the kunai coming down and the sound of Naruto shouting, then, nothing. She had appeared in the arms of another man. Tenten tore her eyes from her captor and looked up to her mysterious benefactor and gasped when she saw it was Naruto, and yet, it was a totally new being. Gone were the friendly blues of her beloved, to be replaced by pools of silver, glowing even against the sun. She reached up with her bound hands and stroked his cheeks, taking in his elongated fangs, and tears ran down her face when he squeezed her hard. She was alive, Naruto had saved her. She tensed when she heard Itachi speak again. Kiss him, let's go. We are at a disadvantage here. We'll meet again, Naruto-kun. Hone your skills, and next time we meet, I wish to fight against this power you have exhibited today. Moving at a speed that not even Sharingan can detect is a feat indeed. The two Akatsuki members fled, leaving 3 stunned new arrivals and a frantic Naruto. Tenten hadn't stopped looking behind him though, and he was beginning to get worried. He noticed that the other 3 were walking forward when he heard Tenten whisper, "My angel, my guardian angel." Naruto was confused until he looked over his shoulder behind him and was awestruck by what he found. Unfurled behind him were 2 giant, feathery, white wings. He turned to Tenten, who wrapped him in a hug, crying into his bare chest. Without thinking, his wings folded around them in a loving embrace. Over and over, Tenten whispered, "My guardian angel, my beautiful angel." Itachi finally came to a stop miles from the temple and Kisum landed beside him. The shark man looked to his shaken partner and sped the hilt of his sword tighter. "So what the hell was that? I've never seen a jutsu like that before. I don't believe that was a jutsu. I don't know what that was. A Kekkei Genkai perhaps? No, that was beyond a Kekkei Genkai. That was supernatural. Come, we must report back in." Kisum frowned and followed his partner silently. He didn't like being in the dark about something. And so far, he'd been in nothing but the dark. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.